What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Chris, this is 4K Motoring, and behind me is the newest addition to our fleet. This is a new to us 2020 Yamaha MT03. Let me tell you about it. So with the intent of providing a platform for a new rider to learn basic skills, we ended up picking up this lightly used 2020 Yamaha MT03. The bike was picked up from its first owner who bought it new in 2020, put just under 2,000 miles on this bike, added a couple of frame sliders, things like that, some body protection, and overall has kept this in phenomenal shape, really rarely even ridden it. So we picked it up for a hefty discount. I know brand new, these things, the MSRP is right at $4,900 thereabouts, plus all the tax tags, fees, that sort of thing. So really you could expect, if you're buying one of these brand new at a dealership, to be in somewhere close to $7,000, maybe just under, but close to $7,000 for one of these bikes. We ended up picking this one up, 2 years old, less than 2,000 miles, in fantastic condition. We ended up picking that up for just under $4,000. So it ended up being almost 50% off of what a new price would be. And I think that's kind of the key window you want to be in with these beginner bikes. Again, if you're getting into motorcycling and you don't really know what you like yet as far as styles, as far as if you even like riding on the street, that sort of thing, getting something that you're going to be able to get your money back out of in 6 months to a year is, I think, a key consideration before spending this kind of money on a bike. And at that stable price of about $3,600 is right around what we paid for it. That's going to be kind of the window where this bike is going to live for the next couple years from what I've seen from the market. So I'm not really worried about us putting a couple miles on it and getting rid of it 6 months to a year down the road. I think we're going to be able to get most of our money back out of it, and it was just a savings account that we got to play with. Yes, obviously, when comparing these two bikes, it is much smaller than what would be a typical, more advanced motorcycle, this ADV 1200cc ADV bike. It is much smaller than that. It's got a 17-inch front and rear wheel. And overall, it's designed for a little bit of a smaller rider, or to be able to give you really firm, feet on the ground, planted feels while you're learning and building confidence on a motorcycle. You guys may have seen her a little bit on this channel before. Nicole is learning how to ride, so we wanted to get something that would build her confidence, that would not be too aggressive for her, that would let her put her feet on the ground, kind of fit her well, but really build those confidence and those base skills. That way, if we wanted to advance to something bigger later on, we'd be able to do that more safely. For many of you that have found this video, you probably already know the specs on this bike. The Yamaha R3 came out in the mid-2010s, and they redesigned it in 2019. The MT03 came about just after that redesign in 2020, so this is the first year of the MT03, but it's based almost completely, all the main stuff is based on the R3, so it's been well tested and well sorted. Not worried about that first year model on this bike. Really, the only difference is the bodywork and the handlebars, for the most part, between this and the R3 as far as the overall changes that they've done. So it's a pretty solid and well-sorted bike, even in the first year model. This is a 300 class, 321cc engine, putting out about 41 horsepower and about 22 foot-pounds of torque. It does it pretty high in the rev range, around 8,000 or 9,000 RPM, so you really have to make this engine kind of scream to get all the power out of it, but it's perfectly happy doing it. It's very rev happy. I've seen no issues there. The brakes are okay. It's got a single disc in the front. The overall feel is adequate. It's not superb. It's not the Brembos of the Multistrada or the latest Ducatis, but it's not bad. It does have a cable clutch that is very easy to adjust and very smooth. Not a lot of weight to it, so I do like that a lot. It has just that typical 180-degree parallel twin pitter-patter noise, so it's nothing too aggressive, and that muffler does a good job of quieting it down to begin with. There's lots of different slip-on options to change that, should you desire. The bike does have inverted forks in the front for a little added stiffness. I know in this class of bike, it's not really that big a deal. They're not adjustable, so who really cares? It's just a nice little touch, something a little bit extra that the Yamaha gives you that, say, the Ninja 400 or similar would not. This bike, like most of the others in the class, does have ABS, front and rear. The dash is full LCD, it's not color, but it gives you some decent information. It gives you your rev range, your speedometer, odometer, gear indicator, all the stuff that you need to know it gives you, so that's pretty cool. In terms of fitment, I am 5'8" and have about a 32-inch inseam, And what I'll tell you about the overall position of this bike is that there's not a lot of extra room in it. And if you're much taller than the measurements I just listed, this may not be the bike for you. I'll just keep that in mind. All of the lights on this bike come factory LED, even these turn signals. And if you guys have seen the R3, even the modern R3, it has these big bulbous kind of goofy looking turn signals. So I'm glad they ended up on the MT03 going with something a little bit more stylish and good looking. These are still big, they're still DOT required to be a certain size, so they're still a little large, but they do look pretty good with this bike. These little bikes are often a lot of fun because you really can ride them. The old adage, it's more fun to ride a slow bike fast than a fast bike slow, is certainly true to a point. It's great to be able to just pin the throttle and run through the gears and still be at road speed, nothing too excessive. And that's really cool about these little 300s, 400, these smaller classes. So who is this bike really for? This is meant for the new or returning rider that wants to get a foot in the door to motorcycling again. It is a very inviting, very friendly, very easygoing bike that is still very capable on commuting. The engine is very happy up to about 65 or 70 miles an hour before you really get it screaming in the RPM range. It will do faster, and I'm sure it will be fine. It's just not super happy about it. You don't have a lot of wind protection. The previous owner did add this little windshield to the front of this particular MT03, but there's not a lot of wind protection like you'd have with the Ninja or the R3 or any of the mini sport bikes. So you might be fighting a little extra wind if you do a lot of highway commuting with one of these. But where this is really happiest is around town, doing kind of the urban commuting sort of thing. These little naked bikes are pretty great. They inspire a lot of confidence, have a good viewpoint. You do sit well into this bike. I think it's a 30.5-inch seat height, is a very low seat on this bike. Overall, what I believe to be one of the better packages you can get for a new or beginning rider, especially considering the price point, currently on the market. So guys, we'll bring you along as we go through at least a couple months of ownership of this bike. I'll let you know what we think of it overall and any issues we have. If you guys have any thoughts on this bike, if you like it, if there's some reason you hate it, let me know down in the comments below. If you think there's a better beginner bike for the money, I'd love to hear your opinions because truly, I'm not sure that there is. Ninja 400 I think is the top crown of the beginner bike class in general, but I think that comes at a little extra cost over this one. So when we're factoring in bang for the buck performance, I'm not sure that 399cc parallel twin in the Ninja is going to get you really any more than this 321cc in this Yamaha. As always, thank you guys for watching 4K Motoring. Again, I'm Chris. If you haven't already, hit that like button and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.